Hello viewers, welcome to my channel. Spencer tries to call Trina from his room, but he only receives her voicemail. He requests a return call from her. He yells, "Esme, get out," as Esme arrives abruptly and claims to have brought him an ice pack. She inquires as to what transpired and states that he may have internal bleeding. He claims to have been in a fight, but he questions why she is concerned. If he's ever considered what would happen if he had major injuries, Esme wants to know. She storms out knowing that he didn't. Esme returns and reads off her phone all the complications if he has a broken rib. She wants to call a doctor, but he tells her not to and stop worrying about him. Esme claims she's not worried, she just doesn't want to have to take him to the hospital in the middle of the night and throw off Ace's schedule. He says he shouldn't be surprised she's not concerned about him, and he'll always be his father's son to her. Spencer puts on a shirt and accepts the ice pack. Esme claims that all she knows is that Nicholas imprisoned her in a tower in order to separate her from her child, and if given the chance, she believes he would do the same. Spencer just wants to look after Ace. She acknowledges that up until now, he has been dependable and inquires as to what transpired. He tells her about his altercation with Dex and expresses his reluctance to confide in her. Esme finds that ridiculous because she knows more than he does. She constantly worries that she's being judged, watched, and thought to be her former self when all she's really trying to do is the right thing. Spencer says it sounds like they are both trying to be better people and admits he hasn't been giving her much of a chance. Esme understands, as he at least remembers the terrible person he was, whereas she gets told by people about how awful she was. She says he never talks about their history and asks what they were like as a couple. He doesn't like to remember that time. Esme understands but asks if they were always such awful people destroying everything they touched. He notes not always, and he was hurt and estranged from his father when they met. He had no friends, just people who liked him for his money. He says she listened to him, and she just didn't tell him what he thought he wanted to hear. He began to depend on her. She was his first love, but it turned out she was using him the entire time. She understands now why he hates her. He hates that he let himself be taken in by her. She teases the old Esme must have liked him a little. Spencer doubts that, but remembers this one time he tried to find her something for her birthday, but didn't know what to get her. He originally bought her an expensive bracelet, but realized the cheesy snow globe of his that she loved, and he gave her both of them. He remembers the face when she saw the snow globe, as she was so happy. She thinks that means the old Esme really liked him. As it becomes later, Spencer praises Esme for offering to work the night shift with Ace by herself so he may rest. He agrees to accompany her when she mentions taking the parenting course. She says goodbye and walks away. Esme beams in the hallway. Violet exits Finn's before Liz can leave and informs her father that she couldn't leave yet. Violet acknowledges having a nightmare about them and waking up to see they were gone along with the dark shadow. She is hesitant to resume her slumber. Finn assures Violet that he will be available if she requires him. Aunt Elizabeth requests to stay, but he declines, stating that she must return home to her children. Liz excuses herself, and Violet tells her father that she likes it when her aunt is here. Finn says he does too, but also has her own kids and house. Violet suggests Liz and the boys could come here, or they could go there. Finn comments, "Oh boy." Liz returns with a magic sleepy milk drink for Violet, who notes hers tastes better than Daddy's. Finn finally gets Violet to sleep and tells Liz how good she is with her. She thanks him and admits she misses taking care of kids. Hers are all grown up. Finn says she's always welcome over as Violet loves seeing her. Liz realizes she needs to get home, though she knows her boys won't be nearly as happy to see her as Violet was. Finn says, "Violet and me." Finn thanks her for going along with Violet's date, but Liz assures him she had fun. She tells him good night and leaves. Finn puts his head against the door, and in the hall, Liz appears deep in thought. Sonny invites Sasha over to his place to talk about her future. He knows she's ready to end her guardianship with Gladys, and Sasha admits that's true. She thinks it's time, but Sonny says Gladys thinks she's not ready and she's worried. Sasha admits she's worried too. She feels strong, confident, and healthy some days, but other days she feels off, as if she's pretending to hold it together. Sonny says they all have so-so days. Sasha says it's the days the darkness comes back that trouble her, and it happens for no reason at all. She gets hit with waves of sadness, reminders that her baby is gone, and those feelings scare her. Sonny knows grief can play with your mind, and she agrees. She also says something inside of her tells her that she's ready to be making her own decisions again, but she could be making a mistake. She asks Sonny what he thinks. Sonny feels if she had said she's been great all the time, he'd say she needs more time with Gladys. That's why he thinks it's time she's on her own. Sasha is glad they had this talk. Sonny says just because she's ending the guardianship, to remember he's always here for her, and so is Gladys. They hug and Sasha thanks him. At the hospital, Trina listens to the voicemail of Spencer yelling at Esme to get out of his room. Portia finds Trina and wants to talk to her. Trina admits she knows what Curtis did and doesn't know why her mom isn't angrier at him. Portia tells her this has nothing to do with her. Trina thinks her mom is trying to protect her, but Portia explains she needs to figure out her problems and her marriage on her own. She doesn't want Trina taking sides or letting her issues with Curtis affect her relationship with him. Trina ignores another call from Spencer, and Portia asks why she's ignoring him. Did they have a fight? Trina says they didn't, but Spencer did. She fills her in on Spencer's fight with Dex and says she doesn't recognize him sometimes. Portia does, as he'll always be the boy who lied to her daughter and put her in harm's way. Trina hasn't forgotten, but also knows he's changed. Portia admits he has grown up some, and he's taking care of his brother with Esme. Trina is glad he's being responsible towards Ace, but she hates that he spends even a second with Esme. Portia warns her that if Spencer is in her life and Ace is in his, then Esme will be in both of their lives. Trina wants to be with Spencer, or so she thought so, but he's always either with Esme or Ace. Portia admits he has grown up some, and he's taking care of his brother with Esme. Trina is glad he's being responsible towards Ace, but she hates that he spends even a second with Esme. Portia warns her that if Spencer is in her life and Ace is in his, then Esme will be in both of their lives. Trina wants to be with Spencer, or so she thought so, but he's always either with Esme or Ace. Portia has been trying to get her to see she needs to explore other things. She shouldn't be limiting the size of her world to a handful of people, but expanding it. Zeke calls Jordan, who is in her office, and asks if she's free for dinner. Jordan says she's free but won't be spending it with him. They're done. After she hangs up, Curtis enters. She knows why he's here. Curtis asks why she told Portia about their kiss. Jordan says she didn't tell her and confesses it was Zeke. She explains she confided in him not knowing who he was. She vented to him and didn't use any names, but when Portia introduced them, he figured it out. Curtis blasts her for telling a perfect stranger their business, which isn't like her. She says she needed someone to confide in and was alone while he had Portia. There is a knock at her door. Jordan answers it, and it's Zeke. Zeke is surprised to see Curtis and thought it was over between them. Curtis assumes he's going to run back and tell Portia that he saw him here. He suggests Zeke keep his mouth shut, or they'll have a problem. Curtis knows he told Trina to steer clear of him, and she was just beginning to trust him. Zeke suggests maybe she shouldn't trust him. Jordan blurts out, "Maybe neither of you should be trusted." Curtis warns Zeke to think twice before interfering in his business again. Curtis leaves, and Zeke thinks he and Jordan need to talk. She says there is nothing to discuss, and he knows the way out. Zeke exits.